Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have from Narragansett, Rhode Island, Mary Catherick Volk. Mary is a spiritual teacher, an author, a speaker. Welcome, Mary Catherine.
Thank you, Jan.
You're welcome. And she has two fantastic books we're going to talk about. Believe in Forever, How to Recognize Signs from Departed Loved Ones. This is the first one we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the next one later. When did this come out? When did you write this?
Around 2005, 2016.
Okay. Mm-hmm. This was the first.
This was my first book.
She has quite a background. So you didn't originally getting into writing these books. You went into realty. Tell us about what happened.
Mm-hmm. I was a real estate agent, and I loved building houses. So I was a general contractor for several homes. Two of them that I lived in, others that I built as rental property.
You're actually with a hard hat?
Oh, well, not physically with a hammer, but I hired everybody to do that. But I would find the land, I would hire the excavators, the drafting, draw up the plans, and then I would physically be there every day, all during construction.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I loved it.
Your kids at the same time?
I did. Interestingly, you should ask that question. I was 9 months pregnant, and my daughter was due. We moved in on November 1st. My daughter was due on the 14th, and we still were doing some painting and finishing. And I even said to the baby, "You cannot come on your due date. The house isn't ready." Her room was not ready.
This was your first child?
My first child, and she was born November 26th, so it was perfect. Perfect.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
You felt up to doing this?
I did. Well, and I actually had started the construction process before I found out I was pregnant. So that was part of it. Buying land and getting permits.
Yeah.
You think you're going to start building right away, but sometimes it can take a year and a half.
Yeah, a lot of intricate details.
Oh, yes.
That I hate.
Yeah.
I'm not into that.
But I don't know. It was just kind of in my blood. I think being in real estate, and my parents had done a lot in real estate before that. So as a child, we'd drive around on a Sunday and go looking for property.
And you became a realtor.
A realtor, yeah.
And then your husband passed at a very early age, and you took over his men's jewelry business.
Yes.
You've been through.
Yeah, I tell everybody I bounce really well.
That's good.
Yeah, well, it served me well.
You're creative, just like you said, and boy, do I relate to this. Now, let's talk about her first book, Believe in Forever, How to Recognize Signs from Departed Loved Ones. You had a near-death experience. Can you share that?
Yes. That I was 6 years old, and I had measles encephalitis. There was an epidemic, believe it or not, in the late 50s in Rhode Island, and there was a whole ward of us, and isolation, of course. But I went into a coma, and I was in this coma for a week. And they were telling my parents that with the swelling on the brain and the coma, I was probably not going to live. I was not going to survive. And I just remembered hearing the doctors being all around me saying that. And with that, I just went into a fearful state, but total darkness, which was very scary for a 6-year-old. But then suddenly, I noticed there was a very dim light coming off to my right. So I just naturally focused on the light and not on the darkness. And when I did this, it grew more intense. And I noticed at the end of this very, very long tunnel, there was a big silhouette of a person. And so I focused on him, and when I did, I just moved towards him, floated towards him. I didn't even feel like I was walking. Yeah. And he took my hand, and I just felt this tremendous love from him. Yeah. And he took me to this beautiful, a meadow. A meadow with beautiful flowers. I could hear people in the distance. It was very festive. There was music.
Like a welcoming committee.
It was a welcoming committee, literally.
Were your relatives there? Did you see?
Well, that's what happened. We started going up over a hill, and as we started going down, I was just taking everything in. There were ducks, and there was a river. There was a group of women that looked over at us and got all excited, and they came running. And I thought that they knew him. I didn't know who this man was. I just knew I felt safe and loved with him. And they came running towards us, but then they started hugging me and putting their arms around me and saying how happy they were to see me. But I didn't know who they were. They were older women. I knew that.
Gotta be grandmothers.
Grandmothers, I'm thinking, grandmothers, great aunts, that sort of thing. Yeah. And I stayed with him the whole time that I can remember.
While you were unconscious.
While I was unconscious, while I was in the coma. And then we went to my hospital room. We walked in, and my mother was sitting beside my bed crying, and I could see myself in the bed. But yet I was with him. He was still holding my hand, and he put his arm around my mother and started tapping her on the shoulder. And he said, "Evelyn, don't worry. Mary's going to be all right. Mary's going to be all right." So when he said that, I didn't know where I was, but I just knew he's telling my mother. So I was coming back to reality at that point. And I was the only child who awoke from a coma without any long-term, difficulties or physical or mental.
Right.
And they were calling me the miracle child, believe it or not.
Yeah.
All the doctors, they actually threw a big party for me so I could meet all their wives and children. They'd heard so much about me, the doctors, while I was in the hospital.
And you were 6 years old.
I was 6.
This was in the late 70s. I remember when I was 6, I grew up near Springfield, Mass.
Yeah.
And it was called Springfield Hospital then.
Okay.
Now it's, I don't know, something medical center. Bay State Medical Center.
Mm-hmm.
That is one huge, dreary, scary-looking hospital.
Yeah.
They've added more on, I was in for a week, observation.
Oh, okay.
It was, back then, parents could only come and visit for an hour at night.
Oh.
It was awful, terrible.
Oh.
All right, so you wrote this book. Was this, you thought you would share about more of your people's experiences with this?
Yes, because what happened to me, because I had that near-death experience, I was very open to spirit communication.
Yeah.
And seeing them, we lived in a 75-year-old house, so we had charming little ghosts upstairs that, my brothers and I had run from. We'd fight each other, go down the stairway, But I was just very open to it and not afraid of it. And I have to credit my mother. My mother was wonderful. She'd always say to me, "Oh, if you see anything or if you get any messages, just come and talk to me before you talk to anybody else."
I'm wondering if she'd had that type of experience.
Yes, she was very psychic. I found out years later.
My mother and I were like that. I could be staring into a closet looking at something.
Mm-hmm.
She'd come in and say, "About that skirt." I'm like, constant almost.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. It is. And it was a blessing for me because of what happened to me. From the time I was 26 to 31, we lost 5 family members, and 4 of them were young. They were a child, they were 23-year-old to 31-year-old, and we were receiving so many visitations from them. It started with my father. My father would set the smoke detectors off for 3 nights in a row, 3 o'clock in the morning, right after he passed. And then he taught each one of our family members, well, that's what you got to do. So, for us, it's like, okay, Jack's here. Dad's teaching him the ropes, this sort of thing.
Oh, my God.
And then it wasn't until years later, after my husband died, I had so many visitations from him. Mm-hmm. And again, I told him, I mentioned to you earlier, he was 46 years old and died within 6 weeks of being diagnosed.
He just dropped, basically.
Well, he was diagnosed with cancer, brain tumor, but 6 weeks later he was gone. It was so fast. That there was.
You were raising the kids on your own by then at that time?
Yes, at that point, and I had to leave real estate and take over his jewelry business. So I even, I shared with him. I said, "Hey, I'm going to need your help.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you don't think you're going to sit up on a cloud and meditate all day while I have to raise these kids and take over your business."
Sure.
And he did. I mean, I would really sense him when I was driving in the car on the way to an appointment to meet with some buyers and whatnot, and I just say, "Help me through this. I really don't know what I'm doing." And because of those signs, and it was the reason that I wrote the book was I realized other families were not like my family that would openly talk together about signs and knowing that they were near us. and that love is eternal, and it never dies. The physical body may be gone, but whenever we're in a time of distress or need, it draws them near. Just like what we found out years later was that the man I was with when I had the near-death experience was my mother's father, my grandfather, who had died the year before I was born. And that's why I didn't recognize him. I didn't know who he was.
You didn't even know him.
I didn't know. But years later, when my mom and I talked, just about how sick I was, she shared with me. So I wanted to write this book to help other families that maybe do not openly talk about signs or dreams, messages that they're getting, and also so they could recognize what the signs are.
Yeah.
Because they're different. They're different for everyone.
She has on the back wonderful bag and wonderful picture of her. Our loved ones are near shortly after passing, to help us with our grief and to let us know their consciousness and love for us is eternal. They also come to celebrate joyful occasions, family weddings, graduations, reunions, funerals, and the birth of new children. This book teaches you to appreciate these signs of love and ask to receive more. You can't fake a goosebump. How do I know? Like when my parents died, I've never, except one time in the kitchen or twice, I smelt my father's pipe tobacco.
Oh, yes.
And I thought, well, either that's Dad or Grandpa.
Yeah.
Is that? But my mother and I were closer, and I don't understand how she might. I'll go to their grave and sit there and talk to them. Do you believe that they come right there when they know you're there?
If you speak to them, if you reach out to them, they hear you without question. So if you go, and what I would say is ask for a sign. Yeah. Ask your mom for a sign, because I know some people will say they'll get frightened by a sign.
Oh, I wouldn't.
No. You would like to, but tell her that I would love to receive a sign from you, Mom. And say it just before you go to bed at night, for a couple of nights in a row, because the dream state is the easiest way for them to come to you.
Oh, they've been in my dreams.
Oh, well, that's a sign. All right, you've had dreams with your mom?
Well, my both parents.
Okay, see, that's why I wrote the book. Because, that is a sign. When you are with them in your dreams, you are with them in your dreams.
We've been talking with Mary Catherine Volk, and she is a spiritual teacher, an author, and a speaker. This is her first book, Believing Forever, How to Recognize Signs from Departed Loved Ones. Mary Catherine, how do they reach you?
They can reach me at my website, which is www.marycatherine.com. You can also email me at marycvolkauthor@gmail.com.
Now, we're going to be talking about her second book. This came out when?
This came out not quite a year ago.
It's still new. Trust it. You have the power within you. I want to read what's on the back. It's terrific.
Go ahead, yes.
It says, you have the power within you. Let's imagine a magical day. From the time you wake up, the entire day floats together so smoothly. The people you meet are exactly who you need to spend time with, or they have valuable information for you. The key to attracting abundance and ease in your life, no matter what is going on in the outside world, is to follow your joy, your happiness. You said you're creative. I'm a creative, but sometimes it's like a curse because there's so many avenues I'm interested in.
Yes.
How do you know which to focus on? That's it. It's like throwing a fishing line out and see if you catch a fish, or throwing something at the wall and see if it sticks.
Yes. Well, that's when you're in a really creative mode, when you're acting like that. But the thing is, just be in the middle of it, and then see which one. One will start to grow, especially a creative project. Either you'll have people come up to you, mention something about it. Synchronicities will start to happen. So that's what I would say when you've got a lot of creative, because I'm the same way, you know. But then, what's most important for you? What do you want to still be doing 5 years from now, I would say. Look at it that way, too.
Okay, yeah, that helps a little bit, but what if you're artistic on one part and you're into writing on the other?
Oh, you mean how do you calm down enough to write?
How would you blend everything to work as your strong point,
What I do is I take time out, like especially to write. I actually tell everybody I travel a lot, so I just tell everybody I'm away, and they don't know when I'm coming home.
No.
But I take that time to just disconnect and totally get into a zone, especially to write. Sometimes you have to stay up at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
I read at that time.
Okay, and work at that time though. Work at that time.
Work at that time?
Oh, yes.
That's what I read, though.
Well, if you read, if you're reading, you can be writing.
Or you can't sleep then, right?
Yeah, well, and even me being in the jewelry business, when I took over my husband's jewelry business, we were doing a lot overseas. So they're awake when we're sleeping. So I could be most productive at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
So how did you get enough sleep?
I would sleep once I got my girls off to school. Then
you'd go back to bed.
I'd go back to bed. Yeah.
Excellent.
And I figured I had already done a day's worth of work.
Well, yeah.
During the night, because then they'd get back to me at about noontime or so, 1 o'clock. So I would start my day at that time.
Did you email a lot, or do you still?
Yes. Everything pretty much was email. We didn't, very few phone conversations, except when it was something really important.
Mary Catherine, when you give a speech, what is your main focus on? Is it hearing from our deceased loved ones, or trusting how you feel? What do you think?
It's a little of both, because it's really, they come together. Because when you're trusting your intuition and you're trusting what you feel in your heart, that's when you're most open to receiving communications from your loved ones. And even asking them for help. I ask them for advice. You know, what's more important to me right now?
Yeah.
You know, working on this book, is this book important? And the synchronicities in my life, especially to write that book, it came very quickly. I'll even share with you a little bit. I was at my daughter's in Texas with my grandchildren, and I was supposed to come back to Rhode Island. And the weather forecast was for a snowstorm.
Oh,
I got an alert from Southwest Air that they might cancel my flight.
Yeah.
And my whole body just shook. It was like, oh, I can't go back there. For one thing, it was during COVID, and everybody was in quarantine. And then I got a call from a friend of mine with a beautiful condo on Mako Island saying, oh, God, don't go home, Mary. Come here.
Yeah.
And I did.
And where was that?
That was last winter.
But where? Mako Island?
Mako Island.
Where's
in
that?
Florida.
And you went from Texas to Florida?
To Florida, and I started working on that book.
And it took you less than a year to get it done?
Oh, yeah, it took me a few months, actually. It was only a few months, because I totally devoted myself to it. And I fortunately know the publisher of the book. And when I told her I was starting another book, she was like, Mary, it's perfect. I'm in between books right now.
Yeah.
Start sending stuff to me. I'll work on it immediately.
Did you create your covers for these beautiful
I did.
books?
I took that photograph. That's a photograph of a sunset on Mako Island.
Mako Island,
I took
Florida.
that. Mm-hmm.
And you live in Narragansett. You must have some beautiful
I do. I love the ocean. The ocean
Yeah.
speaks to me.
Yeah.
I try to walk the beach every day.
I love this. It says, this book teaches you how to access your intuitive guidance through meditation, easy dowsing techniques, signs, and synchronicities. Guardian angels, spirit guides, ascended masters, and loved ones in spirit all are here to assist you. Yes. Did you have a feeling when you were working in the jewelry store or doing anything like this that you'd be headed in this direction?
No. Although people would. I was always great at telling stories, and just my life was a humorous event, And people would say to me, Mary, you really should write this down. You should write a book about your life, But never thinking it would be a book, especially Believe in Forever, about people dying, and losing them in my life. But trusted, though, I felt driven to write this book because there was so much fear. The news was so negative and so much fear with COVID that I felt, first of all, I know in order to access our intuitive ability, we have to be in a higher vibrational state of love, of gratitude, of peace. And when you're in a very fearful state, you're in a lower vibration. And that's when people have trouble accessing even signs from loved ones, because our loved ones in spirit is in a higher vibration. Yeah. So it's very, very important to do things like get out in nature. Take a walk in the woods. Take a walk on the beach.
Sit by the beach. I love that.
Sit by the beach. Look at flowers. Look at beautiful paintings. Go to a museum, an art gallery, and bring yourself into that joyful state, because that's when communication and even you getting in touch with your intuitive ability, like, okay, I've got all these creative projects. Which one should I put my focus on?
That's the tough part.
Well, meditation. Do you meditate?
Not in this sense, where
Yeah.
you go, Om. No.
Oh, yeah.
I took East Indian meditation.
Okay,
I loved
yeah.
that.
Okay, it makes it so much easier because you slow yourself down, and then you really can get intuitive messages when you're still. When you're constantly running here and there and your phone is ringing, it's harder. Some people do it, but
And you were able to tap into this strength of yours,
yes.
and you have a lot of creativity. So you tapped into this, and you thought, I'm going to run with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when I get a lot of signs like that, a publisher was available, our friends telling me, don't go home to the cold, to the snowstorm.
Yeah, sure.
Come here. I have this wonderful condo. So, and it's that sort of thing. Then I don't doubt it. I don't question it. I say thank you, thank you, thank you.
That is amazing.
And I take it.
How, again, Mary Catherine, can they get a hold of Trust It?
Through my website. Oh, first of all, both of the books are on Amazon, if people like to buy through Amazon, but also you can get an autographed copy, if you would like, from my website, which is Mary Catherine with a C, Volk.com. And also, too, if somebody has any questions about it, or speaking engagements, you can either call me, access me through my website, or my email is marycvolkauthor@gmail.com.
How far will you travel if somebody would like you to speak?
Oh, I will try.
You'll go anywhere.
I'll go anywhere. I go to Texas and Florida all the time.
So you like to fly?
Yes, I love to fly, actually. I'm A-listed at this point.
You're what?
I'm A-listed, which means I will never, Southwest, I never sit beyond the A, category. Because I'm a frequent flyer.
Oh.
Yeah, but I have 3 grandchildren in Texas, so.
Yeah, and I'm worried about my grandchildren moving to Springfield. And I had a friend telling me, well, at least they're not moving to Alaska.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an hour drive, whatever, but I have to be grateful for that.
I'll be very grateful
even though
for
they're
that.
not going to be in Worcester, which is even closer.
I know.
But it's like, oh no, they're going near where I grew up.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Very.
Yeah.
Within minutes
Oh,
of the
good.
home I grew up in Wilbraham.
Oh, so you'll be able to take them and show them you know the area, which is
I
is
might.
nice.
I show them the home I grew up in.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my parents built that. Now, I'm looking at the table of contents in Trust It.
Okay.
Okay. Now, something that is fascinating, especially to me, is this whole body movement, a dowsing technique. Is that where you're going around that stick?
Yeah, you can do it with with sticks or a pendulum.
Yeah.
A lot of people use a pendulum. Or if you look in the chapter, I actually show people it's a very simple dowsing technique of using your hands like this. I don't know if the camera
Okay,
can see it
all
or
right.
not, but you're taking this
This?
and then these.
They lock. Okay.
And you lock them together.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can use that to ask simple yes and no questions of yourself. Your body intelligence will never lie. And it'll be a little difficult for us to do it right now,
Yeah.
but what somebody should do is ask, say yes, 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 no, 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 and it will open to the no. It'll stay locked to the yes.
But how can I know I'm not doing that? Because I want to hear what I want to hear.
Okay, well, what you want to do is you want to practice it a little bit by saying what your name is.
Janet. Okay.
My name is Janet. My name is Janet.
My name
now
is
try
Janet.
to pull them apart. My name is Janet.
Well, yeah, but I know I'm holding on to it because it is my name.
Well, try not to do that. Try to just relax. Okay, and say, now my name is Janet.
All right. Yeah.
It's holding, isn't it? Now say, my name is Daffy Duck.
My name is Daffy Duck. Kinda.
Okay, you need to practice it a
Yeah.
little bit, but that's the best way to do it. Say the name, different names that is not your name, and then what is your name, or where you live, something like that, or my car is such and such, and then work with it a little bit. But you can ask yes and no questions. You have to be very specific
Yeah.
and ask no more than 3 questions at a time. Okay, and you just center yourself and just kind of calm yourself, meditate a little bit, and come into your higher consciousness and say, I have a question.
And that's
I'm
it.
undecided
Right.
which way to go on this.
I know when I was pregnant, we wanted to know, well, we kind of wanted to know if it was a boy or girl, but we didn't want the medical people to tell us. So an American Indian friend of ours took one of the wedding rings,
Yeah.
put it on a string, and it moved, supposed to move over my tummy, right?
Yeah.
He tried it twice as a boy, and it was a boy.
Okay. Oh, yeah, no. So
Is
he
that-
was
yeah.
dowsing. That's what he was doing.
That's dowsing.
He was dowsing. Yes. Now, a lot of dowsers, they use it for water, to locate water
Yeah.
for wells
Right, yeah.
and whatnot. But it also, it's energy. It's just dowsing the energy. So, again, you can have a yes or you can have a no answer. A lot of people are doing that right now.
Oh, I don't blame him.
Yes.
The way things are going.
I know.
Wisdom of Oz? What's that?
Oh, that's lovely. That's using the analogy of the Wizard of Oz. You know how we all loved the Wizard of Oz as children growing
Yeah.
up? We watched it every year. It's that in the end, though, Dorothy was told she had the power all along.
Yeah.
She just didn't know it.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel about people. So many people do not trust the power that they have within them. So that's why I wrote that book, especially now. People are making big changes in their lives. They're
Yeah.
changing careers. Some relationships are breaking up. Should I move here? Should I move closer to my grandchildren? Or should I stay here? So knowing, what the right answer is without feeling you need to maybe see a medium or something like that, or,
Yeah, we're going to be having these downstairs at the local authors dedicated wall, so you can pick up a copy of Trust It and Believe in Forever, both by Mary Catherine Volk. There, one last time, how can they receive your books? How can they do that?
They can receive my books. They can find them either on Amazon. They go under the name, or just go under my author's name and you'll find them. But if you'd like an autographed copy, you can go to my website, www.marycatherinevolk.com.
How's that? And you're open to speaker engagements.
Yes, in fact, I love speaking engagements.
And you'll go anywhere.
Yes.
Oh, this is amazing. You will. I mean, I don't know how you do it all.
I love doing it. I enjoy it.
Have you got another book on the horizon?
Well, there's one in the works, but it's not quite. I'm not quite sure what it is just
Let me know
yet.
when you're ready. We'll get that one on too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mary Catherine.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next time and be my guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.